above all powers, above all kings, above all nature and all created things, above all wisdom and all the ways of man. You were here before the world began. Above all kingdoms, above all thrones, above all wonders the world has ever known, above all wealth and treasures of the earth, there's no way to measure what you're worth. Crucified and laid behind a stone, you lived to die, rejected and alone, like a rose trampled on the ground. You took the fall.
John's Gospel does not record the author's name. So we do not know officially who wrote the John's Gospel. Early church fathers and theologians all agree that John's authorship. At least the three people here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 people, they are the early time, see, in the 2nd century, famous fathers and theologians, okay? These people all agree that John's Gospel was written by John. Okay, their name is Irenaeus. Irenaeus in AD 140 to 203 time, and Tertullian. These are Northern Africans here. All Africans, you know. This Tertullian is a very famous African man. You know, in the map here, Alexandria right here, this Egypt over here in Carthage, you know, today is Libya, in all those areas. See? Tertullian, it came from that area. Very famous man, 152, 222. And Clement of Alexandria, which is also is African man. And Alexandria is Egypt. Okay? And there are Clements in Rome and other cities, but Clement of Alexandria is a very famous man. And his disciple is Origen of Alexandria. You have heard the name Origen? Yes. I've told you many times. He's also Alexandrian man, which is African man. That's why we have a Fred here. You see, all these Clement 155 to 215 and Origen 185 to 233, all these early 1st and 2nd century theologians and fathers all agree on whose authorship? John's authorship. Then thereafter, you know, even today's theologians, they all agree on John's authorship here. No doubt about it. Now, John was one of the early part, one of the first group of the disciples of Jesus. You know, John's father was who? Zebedee. Zebedee. John's father was Zebedee, and lived in Galilee, Lake Galilee city. We presume that it's Capernaum. Zebedee was a rich, well-to-do fisherman because of the fact that he had a hired man, employees working under him. Zebedee had two sons, James and John. Both of them later joined Jesus. Now, the second son was John. John became the most favored disciple of Jesus Christ by Jesus. Jesus loved him the most. Later at his cross, he asked John to take care of his mother, Maria. Jesus did not ask Peter, James, and other disciples, but he asked John to take care of mother of Jesus. Okay? Because of that, John kept the promise. He took care of, he had taken care of Maria until she died. Now John, most of his ministries took place in Ephesus and Minor Asia, in this area. He was imprisoned by Romans. It was AD 95. He was exiled to a little island called Patmos, about 70 kilometers south of Ephesus. About 70 kilometers south of Ephesus. Right here, and Patmos, it was AD 95. And he wrote, Jesus appeared to him and gave him the book of Revelation. At Patmos Island, which is the last book of the Bible. In fact, John was the last surviving disciples of all. Now, the name John here, name John, is Johannes. Your oneness is double ending in Greek word. Okay. So we call John Johann, right? Our 전도사님 name is Johann, John. Like this, your oneness. That means Yahweh is gracious. That meaning. Yahweh means what? Yahweh is what? Old Testament, name of New Testament, Jesus. Okay? So, Jesus is gracious. That means John, Johann. But Mark, remember we studied Mark? Mark describes John and James, his brother. Okay? Mark described them that they are Boanerges. What language is it? Aramaic. He said, James and John, those two men of Boanerges in Aramaic, meaning in English, sons of thunder. Okay? Sons of thunder. In other means, they are very courageous and outspoken. It is evident that, in John's letter, at least there are three areas that expressed their character, personality. Number one, in 1 John 2:18. In 1 John 2:18 said, you are antichrist. Say that. Okay, very strong term. You are antichrist. And number two, in 1 John 2, verse 22. In 1 John 2, verse 22 said, you are, if you don't speak the truth, you are liars. He said that. You are liars. We are not talking about speaking and lying to people. We're talking about Jesus. If you are not speaking on Jesus, okay, if you speak something else, okay, then you are liars, because Jesus is the truth. There are many Christians who are speaking, lie. Many pastors. On Sunday preachings and teachings, not speaking on Jesus, speaking on something else. How to make you happy, how to be successful, how to make money, how to manage your money, how to manage your family. Those are not the truth as a pastor. Pastor's message should be on Jesus Christ. Okay? Then John said, if you do not speak Jesus, then you are liars. He said that. It's very bold. Okay? If you're strong against the gospel of Jesus, then you are anti-Christ. He said that. And third, he said this, 1 John chapter 3:10. He said, you are a children of devil. You are children of the devil. Okay? So John was strong in what? Is the deity of Jesus Christ. So anyone who would deny partially or in its entirety the deity of Jesus, then he said, you are anti-Christ. You are liar. And you are children of the devil. See, very strong language was written by John. So our brother John here, now standing behind the camera, he should be such a strong man. Now, John wrote 5 books. John's Gospel and Book of Revelation, 1st and 2nd and 3rd John. There are a few different views on the date of John's Gospel's writing year. Theory number 1 is AD 85 and after theory. AD 85 and after theory. This theory is supported by the Clement of Alexandria. Clement of Alexandria. I told you that name? Yeah, Clement of Alexandria. Right after this John's Gospel, and John wrote 1st and 2nd and 3rd John, during the 85 to 95. And finally, in AD 95, the book of Revelation was written. Okay, that's the one theory. And the second theory is the one that I have given you. It was written between 68 to 70. Okay? The reason behind this, number 1, is by this sequential historical fact here. Okay? Here Matthew, Luke, Mark, and John. Second reason is, as I told you, John chapter 5, verse 2 is a present tense of that's the who expressions. And number 3, third reason is that I told you those 4 names. Remember those scholars' names?
Yes.
Yeah, 4 names. These 4 names divided into two theological camps. Now, in those years, there were 2 theological camps called Western theologians and the Eastern theologians. The Western theologians later formed the theology for the Roman Catholic Church that we call the Western Church is the Roman Catholic Church. Okay? Now, the Iranians and the Turians. Iranians and the Turian was the early first and second century theologians who started the Western church theology. Irenaeus he was a bishop of Church of Smyrna. You know Smyrna? You heard that in Ephesus and church in Smyrna and Thyatira and all these Thyatira, all these 7 churches in Asia.
Yes.
It's the second church right here, which is Smyrna. This Irenaeus was a bishop of Smyrna church. You know, Smyrna church was under the severe persecution. Okay? So he was being persecuted in a great deal. Later, he carried the gospel to France, and Lyon, in France. So later he became the bishop of Lyon, France. You know, France was strong in Roman Catholic even today. Okay? So this man, Irenaeus, was kind of father of today's French Catholic Church. Okay, now the second Western theologian, as I say, was Tertullian. Tertullian was not a Westerner in his birth. He was an African man. He was born in here, today's Libya, the city called Carthage. You heard the name Carthage. It's a very famous name, Carthage. Right here. He was born in Carthage. You know Augustine. Augustine was born around this area too. See, Augustine was an African man, and Tertullian was an African man. He's a big brother of our brother Fred. But this man, who is this man? Tertullian. Okay, would you say after me? Tertullian. Very famous man. Tertullian. Okay. This man, he was a scholar. This man went to Rome. Okay, he went to Rome, like today, African man went to New York City. Like that. He was Rome was the center of the world at the time. Okay, so he went to Rome, and he was so popular among the Christian leaders there. He became the leader in Rome. African man. Okay? So he was a bishop of a Roman church. Very powerful African man controlling, governing Roman church in the early time, in the 2nd century. Before the Roman church officially formed, right? Roman first pope was when? AD 590. Yeah. However, so now Irenaeus and Tertullian, these two men were top leaders who formed the Western church. Today's Western Europe churches. Later became the Roman Catholic. So they are the pillars, two pillars for Roman Catholic Church. Okay? You know, their descendants, spiritual descendants, one of their spiritual descendants is, who is it? Augustine. Augustine. (354 to 430). Augustine was born in 352, 354 to 430. So how many years after theirs? Theirs is about 200 years. 150. You know, they were born, and Irenaeus was born in 140, and Tertullian was 150. Now Augustine was born in when? 340. So how many years apart? Around 150 years or 200 years apart. Because their theological descendants, Irenaeus and Tertullian, theological descendants was who? Augustine. See, Augustine was formerly a kind of foundational figure for Roman Catholic theology. Augustine. Augustine and Jerome. Have you heard name Jerome? I gave you before. Jerome, 347 to 420. 347 to 420. These two men, Augustine and Jerome, together developed a doctrine of Mariology and the doctrine of the virgin birth of Mary and doctrine of Holy Mother of Mary. All these today's well-known Roman Catholic doctrines were developed by these two men under their leadership. Jerome and who? Augustine. So all these people were founders, theological and ideal founders for today's Western Church. Okay? Now, today's Eastern Church, like Greek, Eastern Egyptian Coptic Church, Ethiopian Orthodox Church, Greek Orthodox Church, even Antioch Syrian Orthodox Church, Armenian Orthodox Church, all these so-called Orthodox churches, okay? Their theological foundation was based on these Clement of Alexandria and Origen. So they were these two men, Clement of Alexandria and Origen of Alexandria. They are founders of Eastern Church. See now, all these four people agreed on John's authorship. John's authorship of what? John's Gospel. Change a paragraph and a new small title called the purpose of writing. Purpose of the writing of the John's Gospel. There are at least four purposes. There are at least four purposes in writing the John Gospel. Number one, to supplement the Synoptic Gospel. To supplement the Synoptic Gospel, where the humanity of Jesus was strong in the synoptic gospels. But now we need the deity of Jesus Christ so that these two parts can be established in balance, to make the balance and supplement. And number two, at the time, there were many disciples of John the Baptist who created their own denominations, respecting and even worshiping John the Baptist as their founder of their religion. So John, he noticed his followers and his disciples, try to respect him in this way. So he kept on telling his disciples that I am not the Lord, I am not the light. And he said, I should be decreased and Jesus should be increased. He was keeping on saying that. And he was denying himself that I am not the light, I am not the Savior. In spite of that, still many, even after his death, still many so-called John's disciples, had formed John's Baptist religion in order to teach Christians not to join John the Baptist religion. Okay? John has to write his gospel to fight against the John's Baptist followers. That's the second reason. Third reason is this. Third reason is in the early first century, among the Jewish Christians, especially in the Galatia area. Galatia. I don't have to draw a map here. Galatia. Okay? Galatia is right here. Around here. Okay? In this area. Many diaspora Jews lived in this area at the time. Some of the diaspora Jews, Jewish Christians so-called, they developed Avionism. The gentleman named it Avionite. Avionite. This man, he developed his own theory on the denial of the deity of Jesus Christ. Denial of the deity of Jesus Christ. That teaching was spread all over Galatia, and St. Paul had a very hard time to persuade them. And John also had a hard time to persuade those Abionites. Okay? They said, Jesus is not God. He is just a, prophet and a religion leader. He's just a holy man, but not a God, like that. That triggered John to write the John's Gospel. You know, this denial of the deity continued later. I told you many times about Arius. Arianism. It's about 200 years later. Arius, gentleman, he was one of the pastors in Alexandria here. He's also Egyptian man. Okay? Arius is one of the pastors in the Alexandrian church. This man again came up with same idea as Avionism, denying that Jesus is human, not God. Only Father God is God. So this ism called Arianism. Okay? Arianism. Because of this Arianism, you know, all churches in this area. At the time, there were 5 major churches. Number 1 is Alexandrian Church. Okay, write it down again. And number 2 is Jerusalem Church. Number 3 is Antioch Church. Number 3. And number 4 is a Greek church called Constantinople Church. Right here. Constantinople Church. And number 5 church is Rome. Rome Church. Church in Rome. Roman Church. So those 5 of them were major church, okay, during this around 300 to around 500 this time. But these 5 major churches got hit by Arianism. So church people, each church has different nationalities. Italians here, it's a Roman church is Italians, write it down. And Constantinople church is Greek people. Alexandrian Antioch church is what kind of people? Syrian people. Yeah. And Jerusalem church is some Jews and some of them Palestinians, all these here. Okay? And here, Alexandria is what? Egyptian people. So all different people at the time, but in those days, they were all under what government? Roman government. Why? Roman Empire started in 63 BC till 476. This is the Roman Empire. This is the Roman Empire. So all these churches were under Roman Empire. So Roman Church for just the strongest power and authority over the remaining 4 churches. But these 5 churches, because of their racial, cultural, political differences, they could not get together, associate each other, separated and divided, not sharing any communication at all. Although they were Christians, they could not communicate each other. Okay? You know all this story, but I'm going to give you just quickly. Because of this Arianism, they had to get together. This is what we call ecumenical council. I told you many times, ecumenical council. Ecumenical means what?
Universal.
Universal. That means together. Universal, together. Ecumenical means. So these 5 churches gathered together to fight against who? Arianism. Okay? So first time they called Nicaea. They gathered in Nicaea in AD 325. The Nicaea is 70 kilometers from Constantinople. Nicaea is right here. Nicaea. It's a Greek area. Okay? Nicaea is 70 kilometers from Constantinople. They gathered there together. You know, at Nicaea, they formed the new doctrine together. That is what? The Apostles' Creed. Have you heard that?
Yes.
Yeah. The Apostles' Creed. And Nicaea Creed. Nicene, they call Nicene Creed. Okay? Nicene. Independent Nicene Creed, we call the Nicene Creed. Nicene Creed. Apostles' Creed and Nicene Creed. Even today we recite the Apostles' Creed. Okay? Secondly is what? And they gathered together again Constantinople. Constantinople. 83, 81. And they developed the doctrine of Trinity to fight against Arianism. The first time they came up with the doctrine of Trinity. And third, they gathered together in Ephesus in 431. Ephesus is right here. Right here. Nicene, Nicaea, Constantinople, and Ephesus. Okay? All this. In Ephesus, The Roman Church, this is very important part. Roman Church submitted a proposal on doctrine of Mariology. Okay, they submitted the doctrine of Mariology and the doctrine of what? The virginity of Virgin Mary and the doctrine of Holy Mother of Mary. So again, doctrine of what? Huh? Eternal virginity of Mary and the Holy Mothership of Mary and not Mother of God. Mother of God was later. And Mariology. Mariology. All this. And also there is one doctrine, it's a total depravity of humanity. Total depravity of humanity. But those representatives out of 5 churches here could not came up with the 100% agreement on this. Roman Church pressed them very hard to accept that proposal, but they could not come up with the 100% agreement. So 20 years had passed, and they gathered together again in Chalcedon, 451. Chalcedon is very near Nicaea here. It's about here, the same area. Okay, Chalcedon. Finally, 20 years negotiation after the Ephesus, they all came to agreement that, okay, let us accept that. By the pressure from whom? Roman Church. It was a historic moment. From that time on, Roman Catholic Church, even all Orthodox churches, Greek Orthodox, even Russian Orthodox, all Orthodox churches, they venerate, they worship, they honor Maria. Okay? More details is in Christology, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the reason I'm telling you this, you know, John's Gospel is so important to fight against these here, Arianism and Arianism. Even today, there are many so-called theological branches of Arianism today, found in many Christian denominations. Although Jehovah's Witness is not a Christian religion, but Jehovah's Witness is a typical denomination following this Arianism in America, over the Harvard University and all those people in the New England area. They believe in Unitarianism. Okay, that is also the part of the Arianism, denying the deity of Jesus Christ. Unitarianism. There are many so-called Western church denominations, okay, believing in Arianism and Unitarianism. Uni means one, They say they believe only Father God is God, uni. Okay, not Trinity. Okay, Trinity means three unity. Okay, they don't believe three unity. They only believe one unity, Unitarianism. Father God is only. And here in Korea, you know, Sun Myung Moon.
Yes.
Have you heard the Sun Myung Moon? Moon Sun Myung? Unification Church. Okay, the Unification Church also believe in Arianism. Even Sun Myung Moon is the representative of Jesus Christ. Now, in a larger sense, today's religious pluralism advocated by liberal theologians, okay, is part of this Arianism, believing and denying deity of Jesus, even only believing in Spirit of Jesus and humanity part of Jesus. Okay? And combination with that, it's that Jesus in every religion. Jesus is in Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, all folk religions, even shamanism, Jesus in every form dwells in those religions. Therefore, all religions are the same eventually. So all people will be saved without, regardless of their religious background. You see, this Arianism has developed in that way, all the way to today's religious pluralism. To fight against this ism, false teachings on Christology, we should be strong in the Gospel of John. The Gospel of John is very essential teachings on Jesus to fight against the false teachings on Christ.
You took the fall and thought of me above